Hello, everyone. This is story time. I didn't think I was going to do story time this week because I had a lot going on, but that's even more of a reason to do story time with you guys. The first order of business, I wanted to show you I got a gift in the mail, and I think it came 2 days ago. And I just opened it today because it came in the mailbox, and when my son gets the mail, it kind of just gets put down somewhere. And it was just a small envelope. So I didn't see it until this morning while I was continuing after my little catastrophe the other night with my towering shoe boxes, continuing to put stuff back into my inventory room. Anyway, I got a gift in the mail from a very good friend, and it is this carnelian necklace. Absolutely love it. I had put it out to several of my jewelry people that I know, that I really felt the need to get a piece or two of carnelian jewelry to wear, because it has a lot of benefits, uses, healing abilities, and I really felt like I needed that right now. So I'm gonna a list of the things that it supposedly is good for in healing, and of course you've got to believe it banishes emotional negativity, brings positive energy. Probably couldn't be able to read this that far because I don't have my glasses on. I don't want to put them on. I don't like to put them on for story time. Energizes the lower chakras, helps overcome depression, promotes love life. Don't need that, but hey, I'll take the whole package. Brings joy, enhances creativity, and promotes courage. I really needed that in my life right now. Still need that in my life right now. So I wanted to show you the gift I got, and it came from my good friend Teresa. So thank you, Teresa. It couldn't have come at a better time. She watches, a lot of other reseller videos too, and she bought this from the Jewelry Pirate, Barbara with the Jewelry Pirate, and I'm going to link her channel below. She always has some really unique pieces. I do watch her. I haven't been watching anybody, and I apologize, and you'll understand why after this story time with me. I'm doing a lot of self-healing right now, for a lot of things. And so when I'm working all day long, if I'm not, when I wasn't sick, and even when I was sick, I still tried to work. But in the evenings, when I go to bed, I turn on meditation videos. I put my earphones in and I listen to them till I go to sleep. Because I've really, really needed that lately. So let's get on with story time. Love, love, love. I feel better already just putting it on. I don't know. Maybe it's all in our heads, but maybe there is really truth to the healing properties that some of these stones have. So yeah, very happy about that. All right, so the elephant in the room. One big question that I've been asked is how it came about that I got custody of my little Ollie bug. It is a very long story. I'm going to try to cut it short. My son, the one that lives here, it is his son. He's been back in our lives now for about 2 years. And we're living in the same house. But you all know that. I think it was kind of an assumption. But when he was 3, when my son was 3, he suffered head trauma. and he was never the same. He was the sweetest child, just like my little Ollie bug. Um, I don't want to go into how that happened either, but it was no fault of mine. I did correct the situation immediately, but the damage was already done. So anyway, he grew up pretty much an introvert. He had no friends. He was played in his room. He was a gamer, very intelligent on certain levels, and on other levels, and even still today, he's got the mentality of a 16-year-old. So parenting was not his strong point, and it's still not his strong point. He has a lot of strong points now as an adult, but the parenting aspect hasn't kicked in yet. So I still do everything for Ollie, including the meals, even on my son's day off. I don't know, just the connection that doesn't make. If my son is hungry, he'll get up and get him something to eat, and it's lunchtime or breakfast or whatever. And if I'm not in the general vicinity, one would think he would ask them if they were hungry or make sure that they had their lunch. This is just an example. He doesn't do that, and I think he just doesn't think about that. I don't know, but anyway, he does spend some time with him on Sundays, but it's gaming or that sort of thing, not in a parental guidance role. So anyway, back to how I got him. My son met a woman who gave him attention. Like I said, he's never had any friends, no girlfriends, no nothing. Short-lived, maybe a month into them seeing each other, they got married. Justice of the peace type wedding, against my wishes. She was in the United States on a student visa, which she never even attended one day of school, never even enrolled. Her goal was to come here and get citizenship by marrying an American. Okay, so a few months into their marriage, something happened at their house, and she went to jail. And while she was in jail, we found out she was pregnant. Then somehow she got out of jail and she disappeared. We couldn't find her. He couldn't find her. And I was a private investigator at the time, and I couldn't find her. That's how under the radar she was. So several months later, we had a knock on the door, and it was the sheriff's department with a subpoena for my son to appear in court for child abandonment. Okay, child abandonment. First of all, he had talked to her, I think once via Facebook or something, and she said that she did have the baby. It was a little girl. She wouldn't give him her name. She wouldn't tell him where she lived. She wouldn't allow him to see her, or me for that matter, as grandma. So we went to court. Immediately went to court and got custody of him. We had no idea we knew there could possibly be a child. Then here we go to court and we find out it's a little boy, and he's been in foster care for 4 months. He's 6 months old at this point. So the judge immediately gave my son custody. My son was in no way emotionally capable at that point to take care of him. So I moved him in with me, got him set up at the crib, was trying to teach my son how to be a parent. And it got to where I thought it would be okay. Not like how I would necessarily raise a child, but I didn't think any harm would come to him. So we got them their own apartment, not too far from the house, and they were doing okay. And then my son got in a little bit of trouble, and it landed him in prison for 4 years. So it was either I take Ollie, because his mom, she lost all of her parental rights and they deported her back to Russia. So there was no mom in the picture. It was either me or it was back to the state. And I still, to this day, talk to the foster parents because they got extremely close to him. They wanted to adopt him had my son not wanted him. So, they contacted me, and because my health was really poor, that's when I was going through radiation and with the brain cancer, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to handle raising a child. And he had a lot of issues. He was deaf. He had asthma really bad, that he was on the breathing machine more on than he was off. My energy levels were so low, but I bit the bullet and I said, this is my grandson. So I did take custody of him at that point. Now my son has been home for 2 years, and because it was important to me that they establish a relationship and a bond as father and son. Now, I'm hoping one day he'll get the parenting thing down, and I'll be free to just be a grandma and not a mom. But for now, it's in the best interest of Ollie and for me, because I would just absolutely die if he backslid, because now he can hear, he's autistic, but he's on like the Asperger's scale. He's very intelligent in some areas, and then he has issues in other areas, but I don't have any of the behavioral issues or the eating issues because we chunked away at those early on. I mean, he was even scared to take a bath. I mean, he would scream his head off every time he had to take a bath. Where that came from, I don't know. But you know how I got him over that? I make bath bombs. That became his deal, was he had to have a bath bomb in every bath. And it just got easier and easier and easier as time passed. And so that's how it's not how my soap journey began, but that's when I escalated it to outside sales, was because my Ollie bug had to have those things, and I had made him fun soaps that had toys in them and all kinds of stuff so that he would be comfortable with his bath. And it was one thing that got him through that. And there were several things that I had to chunk away at one thing at a time, a little at a time. And I couldn't be more proud of that boy today. And I'm proud of my son. He got a job when he got here, and it's the same job he's had since he got here, and it's the longest he's ever held down a job. So, does he still have issues? Absolutely. But we make it. We make it together. So yeah, that's how Ollie Bug came about in my life. And he got me through a lot of things too. With his love and his hugs and cuddles and kisses, and it was just the right thing to do. It was the right decision, and I'm really glad that I made that decision. So there's my Ollie Bug. And I'm not going to go into any more details of why he went to prison. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't touch anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. It was just a really bad, there was things on wrongdoing on both sides. I will tell you, law enforcement was involved in wrongdoing, but so was he. And he paid the price. He paid his dues. He's home. He's a good citizen now. He doesn't do anything wrong. And although he's over 30 years old, he still does not have the mentality of that. So, but I'm proud of him too. All right. So this past month, why I have been distant from a lot of people. Although I do still talk to most of you on here. If you've been watching me for a long time, you all know that back in 1994, my brother was murdered in a drive-by shooting. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that because I've mentioned it. Well, it's been a cold case. It's 27 years later. Last month, a girl contacted me and my niece, which is my brother's daughter, and she was a witness to the murder. Now, for all these years, we've known who did it. Law enforcement has known who did it, but there wasn't enough evidence to support arresting him for it and making sure that he was charged and put in prison for it. So it became a cold case, and every year we call on the month anniversary of his death, and just to see if there's anything else. And me having a criminal justice degree, I know how far technology has come to where, things can be tested that weren't tested before, that may still be in evidence, still may be able to, pull fingerprints off of a shell casing, or, I know that things are possible today that were not possible when he died. But nothing new was on the case at all until this lady, well, she's an adult now, came forward to us family members, not to the police station, not to the police, not to law enforcement, but to us as a family, because she felt that she had carried the burden long enough. Now, she was a child when this happened. And by child, I mean a teenager. Just a few years away from an adult teenager. And I don't want to give a whole lot of information because now the case is blown wide open and it is now an active case. So this past month, through all this other crap I've been going through, I have been working with the detective. My niece has been working with the detective. We've got recorded statements. We have a paper trail on Messenger and email of the accounts of that day. So we're doing a lot of footwork, and we're answering a lot of questions, including, questions about my brother and what his lifestyle was, and because that's important, even though my brother was not a stellar person by any means. He went from job to job, moved from this place to that place to that place, but he had a good heart, and I was very close with my brother, very close. Every year he would call me on my birthday because I was in the military and I was always gone off somewhere, and he'd call me collect, but he would call me. And and the times we did get together, matter of fact, the week before he was shot, him and his family came to my house on the base that I lived on, and we had a big barbecue, and he cried saying that, I'm the male in the family and I should be the one being deployed and being in the military, not my baby sister, because he's the oldest. Anyway, I might tear up a little bit, and I apologize. This has been a little bit raw because we've been waiting for some type of justice. I'm not going to say closure because closure never happens. It just never does. So, and that's one thing I learned with the volunteer work that I do with my dogs is, I'm always looking for deceased people because that's what my dogs do. That's what they're trained for. And so we work with a lot of families, and, early on in that, I learned that, from families that even though they get their loved one back,
their hopes is finding justice, because closure never comes, because you don't get your loved one back, but you get justice and you can rest a little bit. So no, I don't believe in closure at all. I believe in justice. So this is the kicker. The kicker is that my niece and I weren't the ones to contact law enforcement. My estranged mother heard roundabout way that we had this information, and she called to the police department in New Mexico and told them that we had mailed them a copy of a recorded conversation about the murder. We did not do that. So next thing we know, this detective is contacting us. And so first it was by phone, then it was by email, because I was avoiding the phone calls, because me having a criminal justice background, I'm really leery of law enforcement, because I work with law enforcement. I work with the FBI. I've seen good and I've seen bad. And where I'm from, there is a lot of dirty cops. I hate to say that. And I've worked with a lot of dirty cops. And then I've worked with some great cops. My uncle was a police officer in that very same city that my brother was murdered. But we started seeing red flags with this so-called detective. And I Googled him, and on the surface, the name that he gave us is the Jet. And he does work with the cold case unit. But then he started asking for information from my niece. I mean, because my first conversation with him, I told him who I was, what I've accomplished in my life as far as law enforcement goes, and my current status with law enforcement, with my dogs and the work that I do. So he's been very treading lightly with me. But with my niece, he was asking her, give you an example of a couple things he asked her for. He wanted her to send him a picture of her driver's license to his email. He wanted to know where she worked, what airport he needed to fly into if he had to come down there and talk to her, or to get that recording. Red flags all over the place. And I'll tell you why. Because first of all, any law enforcement officer with a push of a button can pull your driver's license up no matter what state you're in. And he wanted her to just send him a photo of her driver's license via email. So, okay, there's red flags. He doesn't need to know where she works. That's none of his damn business. And the closest city to her that he would fly into if he needed to come pick up the recorded message himself. Okay, well, the recording is on her phone. Initially, she did email it to him. He said he couldn't open it. She emailed it to me. I was able to open it just fine. I emailed him a copy of mine. He said he couldn't open it. So things keep going back and forth like this. And so when all them questions started happening with my niece, it was like, nope, don't talk to him. She went, and she does not live in that state. She does not live in my state. She lives in a different state. And I'm having to be a little bit vague here because there's an open case in another state working the case where my brother was murdered in a totally different state, because even she went to talk to someone that she trusts where she lives, and they immediately told her to block this person, that there was something not right. Block him, do not speak to him until they get their stuff going. So he was going to contact the higher ups in that division. not this detective himself. And he opened a whole new case file in a completely different state to investigate my brother's murder. See, so all of this has been going on. So my mind is not on watching videos, although it would probably help me. I just can't do it. Just like the jewelry, I can't focus on doing jewelry videos. I don't know if I'm burnt out or if my mind is in 100 different directions, because for my mother's sake, even though we don't speak to each other, and we haven't in a very long time, she's old. She's not going to live much longer. And I would like to see justice done for her so that when it's time for her to go, she can go peacefully. I had a very short conversation with her not so long ago because of all of this. And she's thankful, and she's stepped back and she's letting us handle it. So anyway, long story short, my niece got another email from him because she didn't respond to the one that he was sent on Monday. She got another email, and it was a phishing email. If you know what a phishing email is, it means someone posing as someone that they're not. Now, a law enforcement officer would never send you photographs of his credentials. This man did. He sent them to me because I wouldn't answer the phone. Because I don't answer numbers I don't know. Anyway. So what I see, this person that witnessed my brother's murder was almost an adult. She, within 6 months after the incident, disappeared and changed her name, did all this other stuff for fear of her life. And even her family disowned her because that's kind of the type of family that it is. Well, one of her brothers became a police officer. And he, when she brought it up to him a few years ago, she says, I have nightmares. I got to do something. I have nightmares. I've had nightmares for years. I need to get this off my chest. And he says, stay out of it. Police officer, no doubt, told her to stay out of it. It's old. The guy that did it is in prison for murder already. So what's it going to do? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to give my brother's family justice. I don't care if he's sitting in there for life plus 30 years or whatever for, what did he do? He murdered a woman. He beat her to death with a hammer. Yeah. So yeah, he's in prison for the rest of his life, plus 30 years. But that's not good enough. He's not in prison for murdering my brother. So I would just like to have that on record before my mother dies, so that when she goes, she can go peacefully, because it changed her. She became a very bitter, mean, horrible person. And I hate to say that about my mother, but she was never the same. So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with for a little over a month now. And so my days are busy. I try to work, but I get stopped with the phone call or having to email this or explain that, and then it end up being, well, we've got another dirty cop on our hands, or maybe not even be a cop for all I know. There's a lot of bad seeds where I'm from, in law enforcement and out of law enforcement. And because this is gang related, it was a gang related shooting. My brother was not in a gang. Did he want to be? Well, he was hanging out with them, so I'm guessing that was his intentions. But um, as a family, he would not have told us because we would not. I mean, we would not have accepted it very well, if that makes any sense. So those gang members are still out there. Still very strong, very large in that area. And I'm sure that they've got several law enforcement officers in their pocket. And I'm guessing 2 of them for sure right now. So that's why the case was moved out of state to a different detective. And we're hoping for the best. So now we're kind of in the whole process of getting the other, whoever this is that has been emailing us and we've been providing information for, getting it out of his hands or finding out where it's coming from. It's been reported to the FBI cyber fraud site, because normally you get these kinds of emails and stuff, these phishing emails and phone calls through for people trying to take your money and attack your bank accounts and this and that and the other. But this is like totally different. So I'm not sure exact what department it is, but it's all been reported to that department as of just a few days ago. So, I mean, I'll try to keep you guys in the loop on all of that. But it's really hard for me to sit down and watch videos was my whole point. And, you know, it's not that I don't love you guys, you resellers that have been very patient and very supportive of my channel still. Most of you I talk to via text message or email, and that's going to have to be enough for now because my life is full between being a full-time mom to Ollie, being a full-time reseller so that I can pay our bills, and being, I feel like, almost a full-time law enforcement officer trying to figure out how to tag this on for my brother's sake and let him rest in peace. So yeah, that was a lot for story time today, but that is my life, my crazy life. And no, it's not drama. If you think it's drama, then you need to just stop watching me because, you know, this is my crazy life. And if you don't have a crazy life, well, you're just lucky. Some people talk about it and some don't. And I wasn't going to talk about this one, but I felt like, especially my friends, needs to know why I'm not commenting on videos, because I'm not watching them. I see them come across my screen. I get to see your thumbnails. Like I saw a thumbnail the other day of Marilyn's with Shady and Y, and I saw a piece of jewelry that I absolutely wanted, and I looked at the date and I went, it's gone. I'm not even gonna bother. So because I couldn't sit there and watch the whole video, and at night my mind is so beat up and I feel so beat down. All I want to do is listen to meditation stuff and just block the whole world out. And that is what I have been doing. I'm still working. I'm holding sales. I'm keeping it together. I'm keeping this house together. And that's the best I can do right now. So I won't have a video every night. I'm not really ordering a whole lot. I might try to get a box tonight, Goodwill box, but I might not. I mean, you know, it's just, I'm sitting here looking around my living room right now and it's full of unlisted inventory. And, you know, I tried to get my daughter into Poshmark and she did good for the first few days. And then she went back to take care of her business and came back. She got a job where my son works. So she doesn't have time. She does have time, but she doesn't make time. trying to get her to list like 5 items a night. That would take her 30 minutes if she would just turn the darn TV off, come home, eat, relax a little bit, take a shower, list 5 things, and let your closet grow, because she doesn't want to work there forever. They're working out in the heat all day, and the heat index here has been well over 100 for days now. She's exhausted, and she's a prima donna. I can't believe she's working in a sawmill to start with, chucking lumber all day and cutting and stacking, and proud of her. But her goal is to get a car, because she wrecked her last one. But just like I told her, she's saying, I got to save like, I don't know, $1,000, $1,500 to put on a down payment on a car. And when I had my sale last weekend, they had to take all my stuff to the post office Monday because I was in Nashville with Ollie. And so when I got home Monday night, she says, I can't believe you sold all that stuff. And I said, yeah, that was a down payment on your car. I said, you sure you don't want to do Poshmark? And she said, yeah, I do. I need to do it. And I said, just do 5 listings a day. Try to do at least 5 listings a day and see what happens in 3 weeks or so. Because it takes a while for the algorithm to catch up. And she said, yeah. She hasn't listed not one thing since that day. But it's her choice. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Is that an old saying? Well, that's my daughter. She even tried to stay home yesterday and help me rearrange everything that had fallen, because they fell because she added all of her shoes to the top of mine, which was already almost to the ceiling and not on shelves. They were just boxes stacked on top of each other. And I knew it was coming. I really did. And it came. And so I went out and bought 2 new shelving units, and I think I have room for 3 more in there the way I rearranged everything. So I'm excited about that. And once I get the other 3 shelves, I'm probably going to take you on a little tour of my inventory room. I still have inventory in my office that's going to have to stay, because I've got like A through N in my office, and then O through Z in the other room, and then all the shoes, and then all the unlisted inventories in there, plus where I photograph. That whole area is in there. So yeah, it's a lot. Everything is in like a 16 by 16 room, plus whatever space it takes up in my office. I got a lot of stuff. I need to start donating stuff. Either donating stuff back to Goodwill that I just really don't want to mess with, that maybe were bad pickups, because I've had a few. You've seen them all. Or start selling reseller boxes. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin on the reseller boxes. What to charge, how many pieces to put in, or just do it up to 5 pounds and do it through Poshmark, or I don't know. If you guys would be interested in any of that. I mean, most of it's going to be bread and butter, maybe a little bit above bread and butter. Man, I just ordered 200 more shoe boxes from UPS today, because I have at least that many pairs of shoes that aren't listed, because I don't have anywhere to put them. I didn't realize I was so low on boxes. I've got like 5 left. But I was already up in the 300s, so I rearranged that way that I'm doing everything in there to make it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, this is my story time. Got to know a little bit more about me and what I do outside of just putting up happy-go-lucky reseller videos. I'm not a basket case. This brought up some old wounds for me. But I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it down, and we're gonna get justice. But we're gonna do it the right way. Oh, and that girl just sent me a message, 2 messages, when I was doing Ollie Bug's video today, and I've not opened them yet, because I want to warn her to be careful, because whoever has all this information right now, I do not believe that it is a true detective working on the cold case. I think his information was taken and um, by someone that overheard it in the police department that may be affiliated with this gang and protecting whatever. And I want to warn her because I think we're all in danger now. But I'm waiting to hear back from the other detective that reopened a new case in a different state before I say anything to her. Because she is the link that could get us justice. And, you know, we're all in danger right now because we're all privy to this information and we all have copies of this information. I don't know. If any of you have law enforcement in your family, all they gotta do is push a button and they could get anybody's driver's license that shows where they live, what they look like, and probably even where they work with a push of a button. But that's all trackable. Once a police officer signs into that database, it's trackable. So if anything was to happen to my niece or to me or to this other lady, that would eventually come up and it would track back to whoever that police officer was that pulled one of us up. So I'm guessing that's why this person asked for her stuff via email that came back to her as a phishing email, plain as day. So, because he doesn't want his conversation with her and the information he got from her trailing back to him in the event that something happened. Based on my degree, that's how I see it. And I did talk to an FBI agent friend of mine that I work a lot with my dogs, and he also said the same thing. He said there's something there. There's something wrong there. And he asked me if I wanted him to check into it, and I says we've got so and so in so and so that opened a new case. He says let him handle it. Give him my number if he needs assistance on my end. Tell him that he can call me anytime. And so that's the way we left it because I trust the guy that now has the case. But I hate the fact that he doesn't live there and he can't access my brother's file, you know. But I do know this person also told both of us that several things were missing out of my brother's file. I don't know why that is. Anyway, I'm going to go because my time is up. So I will talk to you guys next time on Storytime. Thank you for listening to my crazy life. Love all you. Lily out.